Good day, everyone, and welcome to the CUR's Research Colloquium. Our topic for today is Marawi Siege, Soldiers Retrospective. Before we start, we would like also to acknowledge our visitors from the Philippine Army and our participants from UMAC's colleges and institute. These are selected participants: College of Arts and Letters, College of Governance and Public Policy, College of Continuing and Advanced Professional Studies, College of Computing and Information Sciences, School of Law, Center for National Service Training. And we will also like to acknowledge our virtual participants as we are broadcasting live via our UMAC Facebook page. It is with great pleasure to introduce an exceptional leader who has recently joined our cluster as the Vice President for Planning and Research. Allow me to call on VP Maria Faye Cariaga to deliver her opening remarks.
Thank you, Sir Mark. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. To the Vice President for Finance, Engineer Luke Ivan Moro, magandang umaga po. To the Director of the Center for University Research, Director Florante de los Santos, and of course, the CUR team, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. To our very distinguished speaker, Colonel Joe R. Herrera, Armed Forces of the Philippines, magandang umaga po. And of course, to Dr. Moy B. Olitres, magandang umaga. And of course, sa lahat ng mga estudyante natin na nandirito, Dr. ni Camille Sanchez, magandang umagang ating, isa sa ating mga research consultants, magandang umaga po. To our students, magandang umaga sa inyong lahat, particularly NSTP students and everyone in the virtual platform, a very blessed and very pleasant morning to everyone. The Center for University Research is definitely not doing its mandate of improving, of sustaining the love for research of the University of Makati. Just yesterday, merong activity ang CUR on policy dissemination. So several developments when it comes to policies pertaining to research have been in place, are in place already at the University of Makati, and the CUR is up to cascading, to making everybody well-informed and to making everybody understand these research policies. Apart from, of course, the several colloquia, several webinars, no, and trainings that they have been conducting. So, commendation to the Center for University Research. Palakpakan naman po natin sila. So, today is another very an opportune event for all of us because we have here distinguished speaker, of course, with Ms. Moibi later on. She can actually share also with Dr. Moibi. So this time, this is geared towards urban studies. So definitely this is an instigating event that would somehow inspire our colleges and institutes, our centers, relevant to doing urban studies, to endeavor or to make endeavors pertinent to this qualitative researches, social sciences, influencing eventually policy making. So we hope that everybody will really take this as a learning opportunity. This will not be the last, I think, because this starts the expansion of our topics, particularly affecting our research agenda for the university. So this is something very relevant, and we look forward to its fruition to particularly have, no, as an outcome, a relationship in terms of, say, an understanding between the entity represented by our speaker and the University of Makati eventually in doing relevant researches such as this. So along this line also, moving forward, we will try to revisit definitely our research agenda for the University of Makati to encompass all the developments that we've been doing at the university through the CUR. Of course, to align also what we need to do for the city of Makati, because we are a local university and so we must be aligned in terms of our research agenda. And we envision that we will be the research arm really of the city of Makati. So, marami po tayong opportunities, Colonel, to really foster these types of studies, these types of researches at the University of Makati. So, with that, maraming salamat po, Colonel Herrera, and sana po no, magtuloy-tuloy ang ating pag-improve when it comes to loving research at the University of Makati. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, VP. To introduce our distinguished resource speaker for today's research colloquium, may we call on Sir Vincent Barcelona.
Salamat, Sir Mark. Mapagpalayang araw po sa ating lahat. Karangalan ko pong ipakilala ang ating panauhing lecturer. He's currently holding the rank of Colonel of the Philippine Army, graduated with a Bachelor of Science major in Management at the Philippine Military Academy, and earned his Masters of Arts in Social and Development Studies at the University of the Philippines. He attended the Strategic Communication course at Singapore Management University and Strategic Studies at Nanyang Technological University. He took his Command and Staff course at Go Keng Sui Command and Staff College, Singapore in 2019. He completed the Overseas Joint Warfare course at the Australian Defence Force Warfare Centre in Melbourne, Australia. He attended a series of career-oriented education, specializations and training at various military schools in the country and abroad. His most notable foreign training study is the Psychological Operations course at the U.S. Army John F. Kennedy Warfare School and Center, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. There, he received the U.S. Army Commendation Medal and the Distinguished Honor Graduate Award for graduating number 1 in his class. He was an instructor in the Philippine Military Academy, a former commandant of the AFP CMO School, and the Deputy Director of the Joint Doctrine Development Center, AFP Education Training and Doctrine Command. He is the first director of the Operations Research Center in the Philippine Army. As a former commander of the 53rd Infantry Matapat Battalion at Camp Major David P. Sabido, Gipos, Zamboanga del Sur from March 2020 to August 2022, his battalion helped in making Zamboanga Peninsula insurgency-free from the New People's Army in 2021. When the May 2017 Marawi crisis broke, he was designated as the spokesperson and Information Operations Chief, Joint Task Force Marawi of the AFP. He focused on providing much-needed information regarding the military operations against the Islamic State of Iraq's Syria-inspired group or ISIS-inspired group. He also managed the civil military operations programs and collaborative engagement activities with various stakeholders in Marawi City and its adjacent municipalities. His initiatives were aimed at generating strong support and partnerships for peace building and preventing ISIS Maute and Daesh from gaining foothold and sympathy of Filipino Sunni Muslims in their goal of establishing an ISIS province in Marawi. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are cadets of the UMAC ROTC, as we honor the heroes of Marawi, join me in welcoming and giving a salute to Colonel Joar Acosta Herrera.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all of you. To Sir Vincent, thank you for that kind introduction. Again, I am honored and privileged to be invited to speak before you. And I am very happy to be here. This is my first time to be in UMAC. And I'm here to share the narratives and my experience in Marawi crisis. But first, allow me to thank Professor Nick Sanchez for this initiative. Palakpakan natin si Sir Nick. And of course, Professor Net Cariaga, ma'am, for the warm welcome. Professor Porante de los Santos, sir. Engineer Moro. And also to Dr. Moibi Olitres. To all students, instructors, and stakeholders of the University of Makati, and also to the local government unit and public servants. Again, a blessing morning to all of you. Again, thank you very much for this opportunity. So I think that's part of the challenge, the unforeseen circumstance. No, we have also experienced that during the Marawi. Nobody really predict what will happen in Marawi. So again, if I may continue. As you all know, the Battle of Marawi ended in a resounding victory for the government troops, with former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte declaring Marawi as liberated in October 17, 2017. And I would like to begin my narrative of the Battle of Marawi with a brief description of the city itself. So let's understand about Marawi. Marawi is the capital city of the province of Lanao del Sur. Because of its high elevation and cool climate, Marawi city is also called the summer capital of Mindanao. The residents of Marawi are called Maranaos, which means people by the lake, and are predominantly Muslims. That is why their city is officially known as the Islamic city of Marawi. However, Christians and adherents living in the city are a small population to other faiths. Before the conflict, Marawi city had a resident population of more than 200,000. Marawi is highly urbanized area in the autonomous region Muslim Mindanao, and is the center of Lanao del Sur's capital, commercial, and educational activities. On May 23, 2017, the terrorists inspired by the Daesh or the ISIS and their foreign counterparts seized and occupied Marawi city to achieve a twofold purpose: establish a ISIL territory and to gain recognition and support from the Daesh. The Daesh-inspired and Abu Sayyaf group was just one of the various terrorist organizations in Southeast Asia that had pledged allegiance and aligned their belief system to the Daesh narrative. The various Daesh-inspired groups united and nominated Isnilon Hapilon, the leader of the Abu Sayyaf group based in Basilan, as the governor of ISIL territory. So as shown is some of the other countries, no, that pledged allegiance. The establishment of an Islamic caliphate in Southeast Asia was envisioned by Dr. Mahmud bin Muhammad, a university professor of University of Malaysia and a trusted follower of Daesh leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. So itong si Dr. Mahmud is one of the financiers. He was killed in action in Marawi. He is a professor. No? In their bid to establish a caliphate in southern Philippines, they came via the back door of our country through Sabah and Indonesia. So that is the geographical proximity. No? The Dawla Islamiyah needed a suitable base for their operations, hence the siege of Marawi. But the question is, but of all the places in the Philippines, why Marawi? So let's understand more about Marawi. The first reason was that 99% of Marawi's population practice Islam. Because of their religious affinity with the terrorists, the Maranaos easily accepted the Daesh narrative. Second, the Maranao tribe had been known for its exclusivity, clannishness, and resistance to outside influences, especially from the non-Muslims, which limited the entry of law enforcement authorities, resulting in unmonitored infiltration by the extremists. Third, lawlessness had long been the norm within the city, as it was deemed impenetrable by law enforcement agents. Thus, there was an abundance of loose firearms, ammunitions, explosives, illegal drugs, and even unregulated radio transceivers. And lastly, Marawi City formed part of Lanao del Sur as one of the poor provinces of the Philippines. As a result, people of Marawi were easily lured with the promises of firearms and financial comfort when they were recruited into the group. So the Philippine government had to mobilize its security forces to protect the well-being of the people. With the siege spreading throughout the city, your armed forces of the Philippines, led by the Philippine Army, swiftly responded to the situation. Former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte declared martial law to facilitate the prompt military operations while highlighting that human rights would be upheld at all costs. The Armed Forces of the Philippines organized the Joint Task Force Marawi, composed of the units from the Philippine Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the National Police, and the Coast Guard, to address this grave threat and prevent terrorism from spilling over in the entire Mindanao. So the primary mission of the Joint Task Force Marawi was to rescue hostages and trapped civilians in the main battle area. So during the conflict, thousands of people were trapped and hostage inside the city. So I was tasked to be the spokesperson and at the same time to plan and negotiate how these hostages, how these trapped civilians from that urban city will be extricated or rescued in Marawi City. So it was a huge task. After 5 months of intense fighting, we defeated the terrorists who tried to sow terror in our land. The city of Marawi was liberated and is already on its way to recovery and rehabilitation. So for six years now since the siege, so the government is still on the process of rehabilitating Marawi City. Before the conflict ended, our soldiers had already participated in the rehabilitation efforts for Marawi, thus extending their services to private entities who spearheaded programs that address the needs of the internally displaced persons. Let me now show you a video clip on the collaborative efforts of civil society and the AFP in providing one of the basic needs of the individual displaced persons. No. So this is the video clip. Okay. So you must be expected that if there is a crisis or conflict in urban, so we need to relocate people.
Any novel solution that will hasten the rebuilding of Marawi is a welcome endeavor. The AFP is not the enemy of the people in Marawi. Terrorists are threats to any freedom-loving nation. It pains us in the service to see days of battle. To the Filipino people, the Bahay Kubo is a home, something you have fond memories of or have grown up with, the one that has local color while being functional and easily adaptable. And this is the Bahay Kubo, the home of the Filipino people. We had no choice but to go all out and eradicate terrorists from gaining a foothold in the city of Marawi, to ensure that the Philippines remains a free and democratic country. However, as soon as the Battle of Marawi was contained, the government was limited to a small area. The Department of National Defense, the Philippine Army, and the Tarlac Heritage Foundation worked on an immediate shelter and accommodation project to ensure the dignity and well-being of the internally displaced people of Marawi were given back to Maranaons despite the ongoing conflict. The President promised to help rebuild Marawi at all costs, even at the midst of the battle. They developed a local homegrown alternative in the disaster relief tent. The building of immediate shelter and accommodation for the internally displaced persons in Marawi will hasten the administration's objective to help Maranaons return to normalcy at the soonest possible time. Which can be termed as bayanihan at its best.
The combat operations against the terrorists were no easy task. In fact, 165 of our troops, your soldiers, had to pay the ultimate sacrifice, and 1,700 more were wounded in action. At the end of the battle, we rescued more than 1,700 civilians, recovered numerous firearms, and we were able to neutralize 920 terrorists, including foreign ones who had come from Malaysia, Indonesia, Yemen, Morocco, Czechia, Saudi Arabia, and India. The gallantry, determination, and heroism of your soldiers were witnessed by the entire Filipino nation, and these were the critical factors that led to our victory. With our all-out offensive, you may ask, why did it take the government forces 5 months to defeat the enemies? One of the reasons for this was the direct order of the President to respect all religious structures in the city, with approximately 35 mosques in the main battle area, which the enemies use as defense strongholds and ammunitions, storage areas, and government troops, had to carefully plan how to draw them out from these structures while minimizing the structural destruction. Let me show you the video of the Islamic Center, one of the biggest mosques in Marawi City. The terrorists desecrated it and turning it into their command center. So, ginawa nila itong command center, no, ng terrorist organization. So why we preserve this? Because this is a religious structures and customs. So we need to protect as one way to recognize the religion, sensitivity. Very crucial pala ito in the warfare.
Ito yung butas na nakita namin.
Okay.
Sa sobrang lalim, pwede magtago ang marami sa kanila. Nakita namin yung mga basyo na sinutok nilang bala at ang butas na pinagkakapakilan. Kita-kita kami once na dumaan kami dyan sa harapan. Ang bomba na nakaintay sa amin dito sa main entrance. Buti na lang nakita namin yung wire niya, na-identify ng tropa na bomba ang naghihintay sa amin kung dito kami pumasok. Suicide bomber laban sa amin. Once na makadikit kami sa kanila. Pwede niyang itutok sa amin once na dumaan kami sa main entrance. Ito yung bala ng RPG at ito yung auto receiver.
The enemies use human shields, which further limited our troops' capability to move forward. So this is one of the videos of the rescued hostages during the Marawi campaign. So basically, this is one of the tasks of the former president, to rescue all hostages at all costs. So this is the urban area. This is the fighting zone. So we use drone to bring cell phone inside the area. Ayan. Yung kinakausap nila, drone yan. So we put camera and everything. So that's how the hostages were able to pass through different enemy positions. So again, the importance of technology in the urban warfare. No? So these are the teachers that were rescued. Lahat to teachers. Itong grupo na
Wendelin
to.
Mayormita, Paris Secretary in the Prefecture of Marawi. I am Maria Luisa Colina, a teacher from the Mindanao State University.
Crispina Bandrang, Noelita Kusap. Sa DC.
Dasalan College?
Yes po. Dasalan po. Kapatid ko. Sa Dasalan College po. From Avery San, from Dasalan College Elementary. Po.
Also with the enemy's indiscriminate violation of the United Nations rule against laying of improvised explosive devices or landmines. The government troops had to accurately clear the roads of these explosives, a process which was tedious to minimize casualties. Now allow me to share significant factors that contributed to the positive outcome of our operations in Marawi. The first factor was the adaptation to the dynamic environment. Since it is an urban area And your troops are trained to fight in jungle and mountains. Basically, we are not totally trained to fight in urban areas. So this is the one of the longest and the fiercest battles that we experience, no, fighting in urban. We had to adapt to the need for large-scale and long-running management of IDPs or evacuees, no. Akala namin the first is just to destroy the enemy, but now my job is how to feed these thousands, hundreds of thousands of IDPs. Nakasalalay sa shoulder ko that time because I was the chief of the CMO coordinating center, no. So I need to collaborate with a lot of people. The local government unit. Nakita nyo naman yung mga shelters kanina, no? Including suitable shelter, adequate food, potable water, and basic necessities. No? And this is not form part of our traditional mission, no? The army. But we need to do this because it's already a crisis. The second significant factor was the information dominance through media management and civil military operations activities. We successfully countered the enemy's propaganda and disinformation using various media platforms as we effectively communicated our narratives to almost all target audience. As we dominated the information environment, we were able to translate our gains in the battle area into strategic and moral victory by communicating our good deeds of our troops into the hearts and minds, not only of the affected residents, but also of the general public. And the use of technology, your smartphone, are very important. No? Marawi also is the battle of narratives because the ISIS had to use phones, smartphones, to continuously radicalize and recruit potential terrorists. No? And this is how we demonstrate, no, information dominance, because in every crisis, information is very important. Example, yung nangyari kanina, if we don't have enough information, we could experience a lot of trouble. So these are some of the information-related capabilities, no, that we did. And now let me show you a video that encapsulates also the AFP to champion peace outside the battle. So habang nagkakagera, we are also doing countering narratives, no? Targeting the young people. So The third factor was the support of the people. So, in every crisis, the support of the people is very important. And the government forces recognized that terrorism could not be addressed through military solution alone. As such, the government forces harness a wide array of support from various sectors of the Philippine society, which is generally known as the whole-of-nation approach. This was done in the realization that Battle of Marawi was not the battle of the Philippine Army, but the battle of the entire Filipino people against the evils of terrorism. And the fourth factor was effective leadership and decisive commanderships, which was manifested by our commanders at all levels of command. Firm commandership which provided a clear direction and a steady source of motivation for all involved in the effort was also manifested when our commanders shared the risks on the front lines. These courageous acts kept the morale of our troops at a high level. And the next very important factor in our campaign in Marawi was the commitment of our soldiers to protect the people. Despite the high probability of being hurt or killed, our troops never hesitated to risk their lives to rescue almost all the citizens in the Marawi who were trapped in the battle zone. More than half of our wounded soldiers volunteered to return to the front lines, even their wounds had not yet fully healed. So, pinag-uusapan yung pension ng sundalo, di ba? You just imagine the risk, the agony that we have experienced. And how about these people who have already, wounded or killed? And I think that their pension was only, the right way to recognize their bravery. Kasi mahirap talaga maging sundalo. The implementation of martial law was also significant to the success of the campaign, as it exposed the enemy's support system and restricted the movements of their sympathizers. So if you will ask me, tama lang na ginawa ni former president to declare martial law. It limited the inflow of weapons, ammunition, and food to the terrorists. And one thing more, pag kausapin mong local government unit in Mindanao, they'll rather go for martial law during that time kung sino mga taga Mindanao dito. Who are from Mindanao's dito. May mga taga Mindanao. Yan. Si Ma'am Moibi, di ba? Taga Mindanao. Yan. Because sometimes the perceptions are coming from the center, from the NCR. They do not know what is happening down there. The troops' mindset and attitude helped establish their reputation as dedicated, professional, self-sacrificing servant soldiers who are the people's advocate. Our operations in Marawi taught us many lessons and brought about a multitude of realizations. Foremost among these was the threat posed by the Daesh-inspired terror groups was a clear and present danger. It was something that should never be ignored. We realized that there was a need to educate our people, our students, on radicalism, manipulation, and recruitment of young population. The success of the government forces negated the ISIS claim of invincibility. The enemy's efforts at annihilating all non-believers through fear and aggression were proven futile, as we learned that when Filipino people are united, no amount of adversity could ever be triumph over them. The enemies of the state also underestimated the resolve of the former president and the government troops to extract justice for the atrocities they committed. The enemies of the state were also proven wrong when they assumed that their religious affinity with the Maranaos would automatically be an assurance of the locals' total support. However, instead of fighting side by side with the terrorists, majority of the Maranaos left the city when the crisis started. So these people are also peace-loving, no? They did not subscribe with the ideology. There are a lot of, many Muslim people, my friends, are peace-loving. After the armed conflict in Marawi, the threat of terrorism driven by extremist ideology still remains a grave reality, as the country continues to be vulnerable to disinformation, fake news, and manipulation. We realize that terrorism is a serious matter, and everyone's social responsibility to guard against it. In this, there is no room for divisiveness, especially among us. We should be united in this fight, because while we won the battle in Marawi, there is still a threat of terrorism in our country. There were ISIS fighters in Marawi, who came from Bulacan, Manila, Bicol, and other parts of our country. Kanina, di ba, mga foreigners? What happened to the city of Marawi can happen to any place in our country. We also recognize that the unwavering support from various stakeholders kept our troops in a high state of morale and enabled them to fight on until victory. Even it took us 5 months to accomplish the task, they never left us and stayed with us until the victorious end. No words can ever describe our deepest appreciation. Regarding the efforts of the Philippine Army and the government rebuilding Marawi City and nearby towns to make it more resilient after the May 27, 17. So even the Army also tasked units, especially the Civil Military Operations Regiments, Engineering Brigade to assist the Task Force Bangon Marawi in its rehabilitation efforts. Additionally, the Philippine Army continues to enhance its stakeholder engagement and community support programs in nearby municipalities as a tools for countering violent extremism. And one important is optimizing the use of digital and social media. Next slide. We need also to take note our proactive information campaigns aimed at countering radical narratives and educating our vulnerable citizens, including our students, about the dangers of embracing extremist beliefs. Second, we have to eradicate extremist ideals coming from counter-violent extremism that might very well begin in our homes. Let's educate our children, our students on weighing the consequence of going great lengths with regards to the spreads of threat. So gentlemen, ladies, after sharing this experience, our story, allow me to re-emphasize some thoughts that have some relevance to our students, especially those attending offline and online. First, no matter how difficult your situation may be, next slide. Okay, next. You have to count your blessings. Be happy what you have. Compared with the people of Marawi, you have all the reasons to be thankful. Second, the Philippines is the only country we have. We must therefore love it. We must be patriotic citizens. And if one day it will need your help, Never hesitate to volunteer assistance in any way you can. You have to fight for your country. Third, try to do something good every day for your country and fellow Filipinos. If all of us do this, our country will be a better place to live in. Marawi was in chaos because some people opted to do otherwise. Fourth, in anything you do, always give your best. Each one of us has a role to play. Whatever your role may be, always give it your 100%. We won in the Battle of Marawi because all who served there gave their best to God, country, and people. And lastly, always support our troops. Support your soldiers. Be proud of them because these brave men and women, will die for your freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, freedom is not free. In the face of extreme sacrifice, the flame of freedom burns brighter than ever, reminding us that it is a price is often paid with blood, sweat, and tears of brave individuals who fight against the darkness and evils. Their sacrifices serve as a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity and inspire us to safeguard and cherish the freedom we enjoy today. At this point, allow me to show you a hypnosis video, of the liberation of Marawi, through the eyes of those leaders that I have with or accompanied in Marawi City. This is my last video, so find time to reflect on this video.
Yung labanan kasi na-handle ko, at saka kung saan ako naging commander, karamihan doon sa sa gubat Pero dito ang labanan dito sa sa urban area. And alam naman natin pag sa urban area, titignan mo kagad yung capability ng ating mga sundalo. Kung trained ba tayo at saka well-versed sa pag-address ng threat sa isang urban area.
So, on May 23, yun yung start ng Marawi. 13:30 ng hapon yun. Ako siguro yung isa sa mga na low moral kaagad nung first day. Kasi yung first casualties nung Marawi City was my troops. 3 killed, saka 8 wounded kami kaagad nung hapon na yun. Kaya next 2 days, nag-decide ako na baba ko lahat yung buong regiment.
Every life saved, napakabigat na parang accomplishment. Kasi nakikita namin na everyday bombing, everyday fighting. So nakikita namin parang hopeless, baka wala nang ma-save. And then makasave ka ng 1, 2, 3, lalangoy doon sa river just to cross the area, under fire ng kalaban. So yung feeling na these are Filipinos na masasave mo life, na hindi mo kasi alam they will die at that instant, and yet they're in front of you na save mo. May mga bata, maliliit, may mga anak. So very fulfilling.
Kawawa yung mga civilian doon. Kasi along the way, may may mga na-rescue din kaming mga civilian, may mga bata, may mga babae. Nakikita mo sila, nagsasabi sila, wala silang kain, wala nang kinakain, takot na takot. Mararamdaman mo yung pakiramdam nila, kakaiba.
Tama na sir yung ganito na nagkakaroon lagi tayo ng conflict, may mga namamatay. I just wish sir na yung mga kapwa Pilipino natin yan, whatever religion they may be in, let's just support each other kasi kahit naman anong relihiyon natin sir, we're still Filipino sir.
Kasama sa trabaho natin yung nasasaktan. Kasama rin sa sinumpaan natin sa tungkulin yung protektahan yung bawat kasamahan natin. At hindi talaga naiiwasan na paminsan merong kailangan mo bigay ng sakripisyo. Isang malaking pribilehyo na maging part ako ng history.
Dito sa Marawi, halos sa tagal na itong laban na namin dito, napakaraming hindi ka malilimutan dito mga alaala. May isa akong wounded, critical, na iwan siya. Tinatawag niya mga kasamahan, sasabi niya, mate, andito ako. Pilit siyang ginagapang ng tropa. May gumapang na una, tinamahan. Lumapit uli yung isa, hinila yon. So naiwan pa rin yung unan doon. Sumunod na. Halos lahat na yan, dumami, nag-rush up na lahat ang mga tropa dahil nga may naiwan kaming kasama. Ako ang nagko-control sa kanila, tinatawagan ko sila sa radio. Kita mo bumabaliktad, tapos hindi na halos makagalaw, pero ginagapak ang baril niya, pumuputok pa rin. Sa ganitong gera, nalilimutan natin ang ating pamilya. Ang unang pumapasok sa atin, ang ating kasama.
Naalala ko lang yung sinabi ni General Gregorio del Pilar. I am surrounded by insurmountable odds that will overcome me and my valiant men. But I am pleased to die fighting for my country. Yun yung nakita ko sa mga pasundaluhan natin dito while they are fighting.
Dapat, kung ano yung maitutulong mo sa kasama mo, gawin mo na. Kasi hindi mo alam sir kung anong maitutulong niya sa'yo. Or mawawala na ba siya o ikaw ba yung So napakahalaga yung sir, yung teamwork.
Tulungan talaga. Merong sa ibang pag nandun sa sektor ng kabila, tutulungan namin sila. Pag nandun naman kami nagpa-forward sa sektor namin, yung katabi namin sektor, tumutulong din sa amin.
Takot ka sir dahil hindi mo alam yung sarapan mo sir Hindi mo alam yung kung sino yung kalaban sir. So, andyan naman po sa natin sensation na baka hindi balik na ng buhay sir or may mangyari sa akin sir. So, as long as sir, basta every time mag-text sir, may I love you lang sa dulo sir. At least kampante na bago ka mawala, nakapagsabi ka ng I love you sa pamilya mo sir.
Experience is the best teacher, sabi nila. Yung tiwala sa isa't isa at yung pag-unawa namin sa aming mga tauhan at sa aming mga nakatataas ay almost absolute. Parang lumabas na yung term na yung walang iwanan. Sabi nila makipagpatayan na ako dito dahil alam ko kasama ko, sa kanan ko, sa kaliwa ko, sa likod ko na ando doon yung mga
ng mga kapwa ko sundalo. At iba yung yung feeling pagka sabay-sabay kayo talagang motivated at walang takot na harapin yung mga kalaban.
Maraming salamat. Thank you. Alam ko you're emotionally driven or emotionally attached. It has been 6 years, pero pag napapanood ko to, naalala ko a lot of emotions, no? Kasi I was part of this and we are part of this history. So again, maraming salamat, and in behalf of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, we thank the University of Makati for this opportunity. Yeah. I can entertain some questions if you want. No. Okay lang, para tuloy-tuloy. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon po, everyone. Good afternoon po, Colonel. I'm John Regalinga from 1PS3. Gusto ko lang po sanang itanong if kung yung mga mosque and mga Muslim religious buildings is protect and binigyan natin with respect sa panahon ng paglalabanan, yung mga ano po ba, yung ibang places of worship din po ba ginawa, naging ano rin po ba sila, na-secured po ba natin sila na kahit ito'y na damage or partially damaged is nagamit pa rin ba sila for religious services?
Yes, thank you for that question. Unang-una, before ko sagutin yung question, sa armed forces gaya namin, as part of the mandate, the laws of war, we have to protect religious structures like simbahan, mosque. So kailangan mong i-protect yan. Second is, you should not desecrate it. Huwag mo siyang gawing military base, military camp, or military center. What you have seen is the enemy desecrated the mosque. They've used this as a sanctuary. So in the eyes of international law, they have violated that. Second, they have desecrated it. Okay. Ang question mo is nagagamit pa. Ngayon, lahat ng mosque na nasira doon were rehabilitated. I was there 2 years ago. No? Nagawa na yan. You have to see in the websites, in the social media. Napakarami ng nagawang mosque, no? Kasi itong presentation ko, it's part of during the siege. You will see the grave impact in an urban environment, no? So yes, it was rehabilitated, and now it's functioning, no? Because that is a connection to the human legacy and humanity, our religious customs and traditions. Thank you.
Thank you po, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. The University of Makati kasi is one of the schools identified by the Philippine Army as one of the recruitment grounds ng NPA naman. Of course, kami defensive. Kasi we do not sanction it, we do not support it. So, kumbaga, it happens while the students, while they were recruited as students of the university, wala naman yung syempre support sa amin, no. So I guess nga parang it took for the AFP to to defeat the enemy 5 months. So it really took some planning and they really did some recruiting. Siguro kami din as school officials, ano yung red flag na dapat that we should that we should be watching out na baka radicalized na rin tong estudyanteng to bago sila. And it's true naman talaga schools are recruitment grounds talaga for activism and ultimately baka it can lead to extremism. Siguro kami we do not support anti-government activities. But I guess it's safe to acknowledge that it happens with or without the support and acknowledgement or awareness of the school officials. Siguro kami lang is what should we look out for? Like for example, yung IS university professor yung isa sa mga brains, di ba? So I guess yung namin maybe that's what we will ask for help from you. You can give us insights or tips of what should we look out for, and especially sa mga teachers namin, dapat dapat tignan nila.
Thank you, sir, for pointing out this very important observation, because a lot of the leaders, the ISIS and even the Maute brothers, they are well educated. They have studied in abroad, but they were radicalized because of this, ideology, this teaching. So the question is, how do you identify? Second is, how do you preempt? What we did right now is the constant engagement with the schools and universities. That's part of information and communication strategy to increase awareness and understanding about the impact of radicalism. Either ISIS yan or CPP-NPA yan, because at the end of the day, it's about violence. They want to have that fundamental change through violence. So in the schools, first and foremost is we welcome organizations. Sa akin kasi, okay lang yung maging radical ka in your mindset, but do not resort to violence, extremism, just like what happened in sa ISIS, because you're destroying lives and properties. Example, the CPP-NPA. If you will understand the CPP-NPA, they have legitimate issues like poverty, corruptions. They will entice you. They will tell you that your government is not doing well. They are corrupting the people's money. They are okay lang yung there's the freedom of expression, but did you know that the ultimate goal of the CPP-NPA is to destroy our democratic values, to change the form of government? How? Through violence. That's why merong NPA, they take arms. A lot of students who were enticed to be part of these organizations for social issues, environmental, but many of them were recruited in the mountains to take arms. So yun yung isang problem dito, no? So how do we address this? I think there should be a continued engagement with the leadership of University of Makati, to the leadership of the students, to these organizations, no? Kahit papaano may measures kayo, proactive measures to ano. We don't want to limit the opportunity of our students for these democratic, ideals and values. But we need to protect them. Kasi hanggang saan? No? Kasi yung spectrum from radicalism to violent extremism, pag nag-cross siya sa line doon, yun na yung mahirap. Because we have a lot of leaders who are radicals but they did not take arms. No? Marami dyan. Even our politician, even in the military. But resorting to violence, no? Example, destroying government properties. Example, University of Makati, nagsusunog ka na dyan, nagtatapon ka na sinusunog mo na. And that's already resorting to violence, which is not good. No? You cannot fundamentally change the status quo if you're doing that. For more than 50 years, yung CPP-NPA, what happened? Nothing happened. I was a commander for more than 2 years and 6 months in Zamboanga Peninsula. Hundreds of NPA surrendered in my command. And we wrote a book, no? Andito si Dr. Moibi, who's the author of the book, describing their journey. Paano sila na-recruit from the schools, their lives in the mountains for 20 years, 30 years, then coming back to the folds of the law. So I think it is our responsibility, no? Just like me, what we did in Zamboanga Peninsula is to visit all the schools, to conduct information drive, and this is part of increasing our understanding, increasing awareness about, the evil and the darkness of terrorism. I hope, that this is not then. We will continue this passion to inform the people, the public, the students. So sir, laki ng role dito yung faculty. Laking dito yung role ng leadership ng schools to protect our students from this extremist violence ideology. Kasi unang-una, in the guise of social, environmental, tuition fee hike, ganon. And these are legitimate. But if you really understand the motives, the intent of this organization, nakatago, no? So you have to be aware of that. Kaya importante dito yung information, campaign, increase awareness, like forum, no? This is okay. This is the start of our collaboration. So again, sir, thank you very much for your. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir.
Of course, in your presentation, technology is really important, and it's shown there how it helped in the operation. So we are part of the College of Computing and Information Sciences, and one of the subjects we have the digital forensics, and we know how important this one is in your field. Actually, one of our faculty members is also asking or interested of how, from your end, actually, can the academe can collaborate.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of technologies and a lot of course, topics where we can actually come up with a research collaboration. Yeah. And that could also be included in some of our or topics or discussions. So we also have this application forensics, where this is also an important. We know that even EA is also part, really, of the how this applies or helps the operation. So we want to somehow see how we can be part in your program or be partner on this.
Okay, thank you, sir. Technology is a game changer. And technology is also a double-edged sword. No? It can be helpful, make our lives easier, make our activities worthwhile, but also a weapon to destroy people. Before yung pinakita ko yung drones. Before, drones are used to take beautiful pictures, right? Marriage activities, but now it's now a weapon. You know what happened in Ukraine, Russia, Middle East, weaponizing drones, bombs, destroying lives of people. Cell phone, communication, no, to inform, network, but now it's a weapon to make a bomb, to destroy lives and property. So I think the mindset here is technology is very good, no? And I'm very happy that we are talking about this, now the AI, artificial intelligence. But we need to ensure and educate our young people, our students, about the goods and the bads of technology, and be prepared them to become resilient. Because these guys, these students, these our next generation of leaders, they will be the next architects of our universe. But if you imprint the wrong mindset, this technology will destroy the humanity. No? Just like, those evils, the ISIS now, using this technology to destroy people. So thank you, sir. We have to collaborate with that.
Yes, sir. So I know because of this thing happened, you have somehow changed or apply some changes in which educating the community is really part, I believe.
Yes.
So was it also part to also collaborate, or make it part of the program or in the academic sector, so that the preparedness, how you prepare your sector or your agency, also is partnering with the academic sector, so that in general the society is also prepared. It's really important because in our case, information and network security, so AI and everything, so it could be a weapon. It could be used for good or for bad, and I think, it's really good to note that as well.
Sir, that's why we were talking to BP, Ma'am
thank you, sir.
Net kanina, Ma'am Net Cariaga, about this collaboration, about this research. You have your armed forces who have well experience to this kind of have used technology, the weapons, as game changers. And as a weapon system, that is why your armed forces now is building or developing a lot of weapons. For what? To defend our national interests, to protect the people from any attack. So I think it's high time also for the educational sector to study this, prepare the mindset of our students through research, knowledge management, collaboration. Kasi andito lang kami. We are the user of this technology, and I think...
Yes, thank you, sir. So
yes, sir.
Actually, sir, we are also seeing the big opportunities of the students from the College of Computing and Information Sciences in your field. How do you see opening of these opportunities, job opportunities, because we have the talents somehow, and from there, how you can prepare these talents so that they can be prepared and be qualified to that.
Yes, sir.
part.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for pointing out that. So again, I think we have more, sir.
Yes, sorry, sir. In the interest of time, we are limiting to last question. Yeah, perhaps if you have any question. There, student. Thank you.
My name is Earl Po from College of Governance and Public Policy. My question is, are there any ongoing or future initiatives from the AFP aimed at preventing similar incidents from occurring in the future.
Sorry, preventing
Similar incident po from occurring in the future.
about the...
Yeah, sa Marawi Siege po.
Yes, it's a 24/7 program, no. Your soldiers are doing community support programs all over the Philippines to protect our people, vulnerable sectors from recruitment, radicalization. No, I served in Zamboanga Peninsula, no. Recently, before ako pumunta dito, we are moving around, no, far-flung areas, geographically isolated barangays to visit them, no, schools, to prevent this, no, from happening, educating our people, empowering them to become more resilient from these terrorists and other, you know, activities that will destroy our community and our country. Second is we are doing a lot of community engagement. That's why isang example dito is yung revival of the ROTC programs, you know, so that our people, our men and women become patriotic. You know, I went to South Korea. Alam niyo sa South Korea, lahat yan dumadaan. They serve in the army. Artista ka man, mayaman ka, football international player ka, you know, you go there to serve. Singapore and everything, a lot of countries, no, because they are developing that patriotic, nationalistic, and be able to support their government, support not only the government but their country. Another thing is the campaign, you know, the campaign to increase the will, the strong will, no, the mental and cognitive will of our nation. Kaya part ng aming study nila Dr. Nick, Dr. Moibi's cognitive warfare, because we are under attack by this deliberate disinformation campaign, fake news and everything. So we are studying something that will protect the cognitive domain of our country to preserve social cohesion and national unity. Kasi pag yung social cohesion mo at national unity have been broken down, your people, your community will also be defeated, you know. Example is in Ukraine and Russia. Russia is a big, so big nation. Ukraine is a small country. But until now, they cannot defeated Ukraine because they are protected. The will to fight of the Ukrainian people continue to be the potent force to protect their community. So, yun yung collaboration namin, no, with Dr. Nick, Dr. Moibi about Cogni. And that's my study about right now. So, I think in the interest of time, I'm very happy to be here today sharing this story of mine, our stories in Marawi and our future collaborations. Thank you, Dr. Carriaga, Ma'am, Dr. De Los Santos, all of you, no, our students. So again, maraming salamat at mabuhay po tayong lahat.
Thank you, Colonel Herrera, for educating and inspiring us with your story. So now let's go ahead and award the certificate. May we call on Director Florante, De Los Santos, and VP Net, and VP Ivan, together with our research consultant, Dr. Nicamil. Virtual po, sir. Okay, so let me read the certificate. The certificate of appreciation. This certificate is awarded to Joe R.A. Herrera for having served as the resource speaker of the research colloquium entitled Marawi Siege, Soldiers' Perspective, held at the Multimedia Room 507 HPSB and via Facebook Live this 15th of June 2023, given this 15th of June 2023 at the Multimedia Room 507 HPSB, University of Makati, signed by the Director of CUR, Florante de los Santos, and the Vice President for Planning and Research, Professor Maria Faye Nanette M. Cariaga. Thank you. Thank you, Colonel. May we now call on our Director for CUR, Sir Rante, for his closing remarks.
Yeah. Exciting times are coming to you, Mac, because prior to the question of Dr. Joel Mangaba, we have actually discussed with the Colonel Joar Herrera and Dr. Moibe Sariles regarding the memorandum of understanding or agreement between UMAC and AFE, and even the school of Dr. Moibe State College, J.H. Sariles State College in Zamboanga. We're going to do that. Now, what is my takeaway from this event? I've written some of my thoughts, keywords like malevolent ideology, irreligious extremism, rebels driven by an ideology masquerading as religion and driving them to irrepressible hatred, cruelty, and murder of Christians and Muslims alike. Cessation of military force, true and false narratives, liberation of Marawi, optimizing the use of social media and technology. You may ask, why a research on Marawi siege? What has that to do with the city of Makati and University of Makati in particular? How is terrorism relevant to us? Our newly formed organized research units, or ORUs, UMAC ORUs, namely one that deals with urban health, aging, and social welfare, and the other that deals with sustainable urban development, give importance on urban and urban-related studies. Although we are geographically distant from Mindanao, as an academe, we are not shielded from ideologies, benevolent and malevolent alike. Moreover, terrorism comes in various forms. It includes hijackings, hostage takings, kidnappings, mass shootings, car bombings, and even suicide bombings. In fact, even legitimate and Scopus Index journals can be hijacked. You know that. Thus, today's engagement with Colonel Joe R. Herrera indeed enlightened us to these realities. To end, I cannot help but remember Pope Francis's words to the leaders of Egypt in 2017. He said, "Peace is not a gift of God, but also a work of man. It is a good that must be built up and protected, respecting the principle that upholds the force of law and not the law of force. And so thank you, Colonel Joar Herrera and Dr. Moive Ceriles. And may we continue to do research that enlightens us to work for truth and for the betterment of our community and the Philippines. Again, salamat po sa inyong lahat.
Thank you, Sir Rante. So, before you go, the evaluation form is actually posted. The QR code is posted. Dyan po. Lunch na kasi sorry. So, everyone, please come over po. Photo ops po tayo.